Support comes from the Philip H. Corboy Foundation, Roundtable Healthcare Partners, The Pampered Chef, Aon Corporation, the Northern Trust, and by the individual members of the Lincoln Academy of Illinois. From the Arthur Rubloff Auditorium of the Art Institute of Chicago, the Lincoln Academy of Illinois presents the 2010 Convocation and Investiture of Laureates. A distinguished jurist known for his ethic of service to humanity, an entrepreneur devoted to the preservation and resiliency of family life, a public servant who has led the rebuilding of the Chicago Public Library system, a star basketball player who is led by example as a corporate executive and philanthropist, a world-class dance company known for its revival of traditional ballet masterpieces and groundbreaking contemporary works, an innovative healthcare leader who balances his success in business with civic and charitable endeavors. Since its first convocation and investiture of laureates in 1965, the Lincoln Academy of Illinois has recognized more than 200 people who have brought honor to their state in the spirit of that most famous Illinoisan, Abraham Lincoln. As laureates of the Lincoln Academy, each person represents a lifetime commitment to leadership and service to humanity.
Those who receive the Lincoln Academy's award, the Order of Lincoln, are always those who have done something extra on behalf of their community. Merely being successful in your own life isn't as important as being successful in the lives of others. And so therefore we look for those individuals who can inspire by their actions those of us who want to follow and emulate them.
The Lincoln Academy of Illinois was patterned upon the learned academies of Europe. It is unique among the 50 United States. Members of the nonpartisan, not-for-profit academy are appointed by the governor, who also serves as its president. Each fall, the academy meets to select the laureates who are to receive the Order of Lincoln Medallion the following spring. The state's highest honor for individual achievement, its colors of red, violet, and green, symbolize the state bird, the cardinal, the state flower, the violet, and the leaves of the state tree, the oak. The Lincoln Academy of Illinois also recognizes future leaders by honoring the outstanding senior students at each of Illinois' four-year degree-granting institutions in ceremonies held each fall at the old Illinois State Capitol.
Now for the key part of the convocation, the traditional ceremony where we recognize the work of distinguished Illinoisans, citizens by birth or residence. We regret that the president of the Academy, Governor Pat Quinn, is unable to attend this convocation. With us in his stead is Dr. Thomas F. Schwartz, Illinois State Historian. I now ask that former Illinois Governor James R. Thompson, a Regent for Life and laureate of the Academy, read the citation for laureate William J. Bauer. Governor Thompson.
William J. Bauer was born in Illinois, grew up on the South Side during the Great Depression. He finished high school when his family moved to Elmhurst, and following 2 years in the United States Army, enrolled as an Elmhurst College and then DePaul Law School, supporting himself along the way as a cab driver and as a short order cook. In 1959, Bill was elected state's attorney of DuPage County. In 1964, he became Judge Bauer following his election as a judge of the DuPage County Circuit Court. He was appointed United States Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois in 1970 and a judge of the United States District Court a year later. And then in 1974, President Gerald Ford appointed him as a judge of the United States Court of Appeals for the Seventh Circuit. His long tenure on that court, many years of which he served as chief judge, has been marked with great distinction earned by his pleasant courtroom demeanor and well-reasoned opinions that reflect a common-sense, straightforward approach to the law. For over half a century, we have relied upon Judge Bauer as an example of probity and judgment. We have benefited from his generosity of spirit, and we have been enriched by his unassuming collegiality and his playful and sometimes irreverent sense of humor. To receive the Order of Lincoln, a distinguished American, the inimitable, the Honorable William J. Bauer.
See, now I'm fully dressed, equipped to take on the whole world. And this robe has got to be over 40 years old. I didn't know any lawyers, but I used to go to movies on Saturday, and they depicted lawyers as living pretty well. That is, the lawyers always seemed to have nice apartments and drove nice cars and dressed well. As near as I could tell, they didn't do much. But they talked a lot, and I thought I could do that. So by the time I was 11 or 12, I wanted to be a lawyer.
More than 60 years have passed since William Bauer cracked his first law book at the DePaul University College of Law. But to Bauer, the subject is just as fresh as ever.
It's intellectually challenging constantly. Nothing is the same. It's not a rut thing. Every case is somewhat different, even if it's only the people involved, but it's more than that always. It's a constant challenge. And it's a business or an occupation where you have somebody on the other side, just as educated as you are, taking a different position. So that you have to constantly keep alert, and you have to respect somebody else's point of view, learn to live with it, and you're selling what you think the law is or ought to be.
Bauer started out as a prosecutor in DuPage County and was elected state's attorney in 1959.
Tried a number of murder cases, 3 of them against Al Woodward, who was the father of Bob Woodward, of all the president's men and so on. Al and I tried 22 jury cases against each other in a period of about 5 years.
Elected circuit judge in 1964, Bauer loved the challenge of learning all he could about the cases that came before him.
The lawyers have worked with that case for months and sometimes for years, and they know all about that and that thing, and they educate the judges. So in whatever area they're working in, criminal, civil, or transactional stuff, real estate, anything at all, they're going to have to educate the judge, which means he has to be a fast study. He has to learn. And the way to learn is from the lawyers.
William Bauer was named U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois in 1970. The following year, he was named to the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois. In 1974, Judge Bauer was appointed to the U.S. Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals in Chicago.
It's the difference between reading a play and seeing a play. When you're in a trial level, you see the play. You see the interaction of human beings. You see the emotional problems and everything else. And until you get to a verdict, there are no set in line facts. So they come up, and here they argue analytically. These are the facts. This is what went wrong, and this is why it should be corrected. And the opposite side says that was done right, and this is why it should be affirmed. It's true on this court, it's true on the Supreme Court of the United States, exactly. So there's another reason to be a lawyer. They determine what laws are being looked at and how they're looked at.
William Bauer was appointed Chief Judge in 1986, a post he held until 1993.
Every judge on the district court and in this court were appointed by the president, confirmed by the Senate for life. And they have an enormous amount of independence. To get them to work together is the problem first of the chief. And that you do by suggesting what he used to say, if you want to get somebody to do something, you make him think it's his idea or her idea. And that's the joy of schmoozing. And either from my salesman father or my Irish mother, I'm a good schmoozer.
Judge Bauer assumed senior status in 1994, but continues to mentor young legal talent.
Almost every job I've held has given me an enormous amount of satisfaction. I suppose in working with new lawyers gives me an enormous amount of satisfaction. Watching them get better and better and listening to great oral arguments downstairs or upstairs. Great sense of satisfaction. And there are some really great lawyers who are doing marvelous things to make sure we're free. I don't know why I should get an award for doing exactly what I wanted to do over all those years. What I should be doing is thanking you, thanking the citizens of Illinois, all those friends and co-workers, compatriots, and well-wishers who made my life an incredibly pleasant experience. I am pleased by the fact that my professional ancestors drafted the Constitution of the United States and the Declaration of Independence. An Emancipation Proclamation was written by an Illinois lawyer. And the lawyers who serve today are working to make sure those documents mean what they say, that there really is equal justice for all of us, and that we will be damned if we'll be satisfied with less. And so I thank you for the opportunity to have served in so many jobs so wonderfully, and I'm still doing it. And bless you. Thanks again.
Born in Oak Lawn, Illinois, Doris Christopher is an entrepreneur who turned her home-based kitchen tool business, The Pampered Chef, into an international powerhouse that provides business opportunities to its housewife sales consultants while promoting the welfare of families. At its very root is Ms. Christopher's belief in the power of families to promote and sustain personal well-being. The Christopher family and the Pampered Chef established the Pampered Chef Family Resiliency Program at the University of Illinois. The Pampered Chef has raised millions of dollars for cancer research, education, and awareness programs in the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to present to you, as a laureate of the Lincoln Academy of Illinois, Ms. Doris Christopher.
From its humble beginnings in the basement of her home in River Forest, Illinois, to becoming a multinational leader in direct sales of kitchen tools, the Pampered Chef was built upon Doris Christopher's belief in the power of shared family meals to sustain the emotional and physical health of families.
One of the things we found in our own families and in the family we established was that mealtime was an extremely important time to invest in. And it was a time we could come together and share in food, certainly, but also share in each other's lives.
Doris Christopher earned a degree in home economics from the University of Illinois and worked as an educator for the U of I Cooperative Extension Service before leaving the workforce to raise her family.
I had been a stay-at-home mom for 8 years and absolutely loved that role, but felt that it was time for me to get back into work full-time to bring some additional income into our family. And clearly, I had an incredible role model of a working mom in my own mother, and so it felt very natural for me to think about getting back into career and working. But I absolutely loved being there when my children went off to school and when they came home, and being there for all the important occasions. So my desire to work was tempered by my desire to have the flexibility to still be involved in those important things. And so that's what really caused me to start to think about another way to go to work. And the result of that brainstorming is the Pampered Chef.
Christopher and her husband Jay borrowed $3,000 in 1980 to start a home-based direct sales company in the basement of their family home. Doris Christopher selected all the products and did all the demonstrations herself.
I approached direct selling in the way that I knew how to do it, which was to be teaching. And I knew about great tools for the kitchen, and I also knew that most of the people I knew didn't spend a lot of time thinking about the things in the drawers in their kitchen. They spent a lot of time thinking about the big appliances, but they didn't really spend time thinking about the knives and the cutting boards and the cookware. And that's what I knew a lot about, and I had opinions about what was really going to be useful in the kitchen and what was simply a waste of time and money. So I started the business with selecting products that I knew and loved from my experience as a home economist, things that were kind of hard to find in the retail environment. And then I simply taught people how to use them. And it worked. Once we started bringing people into the business, I could really see that this was an incredible opportunity to offer others the same flexibility that I sought. And so by the end of the first full year of business, there were 12 consultants who were doing pretty much the same thing that I was doing, and I did it right alongside of them.
The Pampered Chef grew throughout the 1980s and 90s as Christopher refined the company's product line and created exclusive products for the Pampered Chef. In 2002, the Pampered Chef became part of the Berkshire Hathaway family of businesses headed by Warren Buffett.
If I had to choose one thing that is ultimately responsible for our success, it is our independent contractors, our salespeople, because they single-handedly drive their businesses to success. And in so doing, they drive the Pampered Chef's success.
The Pampered Chef's corporate values reflect Doris Christopher's belief in giving back to positively impact others. The company has raised millions of dollars for early detection and breast cancer awareness. The Pampered Chef's Roundup from the Heart campaign has raised millions more to help feed the hungry in the United States and Canada by giving customers the opportunity to round up their orders to the next highest dollar and donating the difference to area food banks.
Our charitable giving campaigns have provided a vehicle to educate, to bring awareness to these causes, and also to give people a very easy way to get involved and to give back.
The Christopher Family Foundation has established the Pampered Chef Family Resiliency Center at her alma mater to help families meet the challenges of today's society.
They do research, they do outreach in the community, but everything that they do is really intended to help us better understand what makes families strong and resilient, with the hope that we can then model these practices with all families everywhere.
Look at this.
Oh,
Boy.
wow!
Here's where we stand right now.
One Pampered Chef lane. They did it. Oh, I'm so excited.
Looking back, Doris Christopher is proud of what's been accomplished.
Being able to offer other people the same opportunity that I sought when I started the business is certainly one of the important accomplishments in this business. And another is the ability to not only give back, but to model giving back for individuals, corporations, everyone. Certainly being able to be a role model for women and to offer women the opportunity to find satisfying work is right up there.
In its earliest days, the people of Illinois were the first to embrace the fledgling business that has grown into the Pampered Chef that we know today. The success of this business has allowed us to provide economic opportunity here in Illinois and far beyond. Further, we've been able to share resources with Illinois entities that provide food, social services, health services, education, and support for family resiliency. I thank the Lincoln Academy for this incredible honor and for acknowledging our efforts. Thank you.
Born in Chicago, Mary Dempsey is the Commissioner of the Chicago Public Library and a tireless advocate for the power of libraries to improve the lives of individuals, neighborhoods, and cities. A lifelong proponent of libraries, Miss Dempsey took her first library job, paging books, at the age of 14. She earned a master's degree in library science and worked in a public library before turning to the study of law at DePaul University. A respected expert in health law, Miss Dempsey answered the call to public service when Mayor Daley appointed her in 1994 to head the Chicago Public Library System, the largest in the Midwest, serving more than 1 million visitors a year. As Commissioner, Ms. Dempsey brings dynamic leadership and a passion for libraries as repositories of culture, if not civilization. She has overseen the development of the library's first 2 strategic plans that resulted in a focus on underserved neighborhoods and an unprecedented initiative to build or renovate 41 new libraries. In short, Ms. Dempsey has helped make the Chicago Public Library a dynamic force for the public good. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to present to you as a laureate of the Lincoln Academy of Illinois, Miss Mary Dempsey.
Born to a book-loving family, Mary Dempsey's mother arranged for her daughter to get her first job at age 14, earning 75 cents an hour as a page at her local public library in Hillside, Illinois.
I learned really to understand how vital a public library is, no matter how small it could be, it is, how vital it is for people's lives. It does everything from entertain young people to really provide people with essential information they need for their home, their business, their health. And I really learned that at an early age.
Dempsey earned a master's degree in library science at the University of Illinois and worked as a librarian before attending law school at DePaul University. She had established a reputation in the field of health law, but her background in library science came to the attention of Mayor Richard M. Daley, who was convinced she'd be an ideal candidate to become Commissioner of the Chicago Public Library.
I had actually only met the mayor once before that. I did not know the mayor, and I went in to see him, and he started talking at length about his vision for the public library to become a source of lifelong learning, a community center in every neighborhood of our city. He wanted the libraries to be stronger and respected and better equipped and more enriched in its collections and more forward-thinking.
Dempsey's first job was to develop a strategic plan for the library.
We asked our staff to look at our strengths and our weaknesses, and then we went after the weaknesses. The strengths were we have a great dedicated staff and they really care about the library. The weaknesses were we had very inadequate physical facilities. We did not have any technology to speak of, really. We had very uneven collections, and we had a very uneven budget. It kind of rose and fell with the fortunes of what was the popular funding need of the year in terms of the city budget process. And lastly, we had a staff that felt like, as much as they cared passionately about the role of the library, they knew that the technology world was passing them by because we really had not invested. The library had not invested in them in their professional development and training or in technology. So those were the 5 tenets of the strategic plan, and we gave ourselves 5 years to chip away at each of those, and we achieved every single one of our goals.
The new focus on underserved neighborhoods has seen the construction and renovation of 41 new branch libraries, including 9 green or LEED certified buildings. 6 more libraries are slated to open between now and 2011.
Whenever we build a new library, we're looking for a neighborhood that needs a library service. We're looking for land that is available to us at a reasonable price, but wherever possible, we're also looking to see if we can acquire something that might be a blight in the neighborhood, whether it's a liquor store or a motel that has gone kind of seedy or some dilapidated or abandoned buildings, wipe those out, put up a brand new $8 or $10 million library, and you transform just the character of that neighborhood overnight, because what has been a problem spot becomes an enormous resource for people.
The Chicago Public Library system is bridging the digital divide with nearly 3,000 state-of-the-art computers and trained staff to help the public maximize their use.
Last year, in 2009, the Chicago Public Library provided 3.8 million free one-hour internet sessions to the people of Chicago. And that's capacity. Every single library, every single hour of every single day, people are on computers. And what are they doing? 60% of them are using those computers to find information about finding a job, how to develop their resume, how to search for a job, how to apply for a job.
The library's One City, One Book Chicago program, which encourages all Chicagoans to read the same book at the same time, has been a runaway success.
We do it twice a year. We're the only city that does this program twice a year. We do it spring and fall, and there are now 150 cities around the world that do some form of a one-book program.
Dempsey says she's reminded every day of the library's importance in the life of the people of Chicago.
Yesterday I took some people on a tour, and our cyber navigator just rattled off that 20 people she helped found jobs. You know, that's incredibly satisfying to know that because we were there in that neighborhood, someone had access to a computer and they found a job in this recession. And then the other day someone sent me a little blurb that they had read on Facebook. Overheard walking out of the John Merlot branch, which is on Belmont, a little girl looking up at her father, and she had just received her first library card. In a very serious tone, she turned to her father and said, "This is a very important day for me." That makes it all worthwhile.
You know, it strikes me that if the Chicago Public Library has a patron saint, surely it is Abraham Lincoln, a quintessential lifelong learner, a self-educated man, an avid reader, a magnificent writer, a skillful lawyer, and a public servant. Despite war and incredible political odds, Lincoln did that which he knew to be right on behalf of the people he was elected to serve. The library's challenges today pale in comparison to those that faced Lincoln. Our challenges are economic and hopefully temporary, but they do not deter us from fulfilling our mission to help propel the dreams and aspirations of thousands of people we will never know. Thank you to the Lincoln Academy and to our beloved state of Illinois for honoring our work with this recognition. I accept it in the name of the public servants of the Chicago Public Library. Thank you.
Born in a railway boxcar in Elmo, Missouri, that served as home for his extended family, Mr. Jackson grew up in Edwardsville, Illinois. His life story is one of rags to riches, but he'll be the first to tell you that as a youngster, he learned from his parents the importance of hard work, education, and teamwork. Those principles guided him to a basketball scholarship at the University of Illinois, where he debuted with the Fighting Illini in 1957. And he went on to play several years for the Harlem Globetrotters, but set his sights on a business career. Mr. Jackson earned a master's degree in economics at the University of Detroit, and in 1968 joined the Honeywell Corporation. Mr. Jackson always recognized that he had a strong entrepreneurial streak and quietly invested in other ventures while he was at Honeywell. One of these ventures, the Harlem Globetrotters, which he purchased in 1993. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to present to you as a laureate of the Lincoln Academy of Illinois, Mr. Manny Jackson.
Growing up in Edwardsville, Illinois, a childhood encounter with the world-famous Harlem Globetrotters changed Manny Jackson's life forever.
I went to see the Globetrotters play at 9 or 10 at Sportsman Park down in St. Louis. And I saw these guys out there playing. That's how people loved them, and the adulation around them. And I couldn't figure out how they were doing what they were doing. So I came back and I took a tennis ball and I started trying to dunk a ball. And I was only 10 years old, of course. Couldn't do it, but I got fascinated with making a ball, putting a ball through a rim. And once I found basketball, and I found that basketball, my life changed. The way people thought about me, that my aspirations changed, and my whole outlook on what was possible in life changed around the game of basketball at age 10.
Manny Jackson earned all-state honors at Edwardsville High School before winning a scholarship to the University of Illinois, where he and childhood friend Governor Vaughn became the school's first African-American starters.
Friendships mean a lot. And when you got a friend who's both ethical, and you got a friend who's smart, and a friend that knows what got your back all the time, there was no doubt the two of us had each other's back. And I could not have gone through all that we went through without the two of us being together.
In Jackson's senior year, he became team captain and won All-American honors. Jackson and Governor Vaughn both played for the Harlem Globetrotters in the early 1960s.
But people love winners. Kids love winners. Adults love winners. The media loves winners. This team knew how to win. And they knew how to win on the basketball court, and they knew how to win in rural Mississippi and in Chicago Stadium. They could win your heart. They had a way that nobody could turn them away.
Manny Jackson joined the Honeywell Corporation in 1968 after earning a master's degree in economics and marketing from the University of Detroit.
The attraction to Honeywell for me was the opportunity to do a lot of different things in a lot of different industries. I took advantage of every promotion, every experience that was available. And I seldom went any place that I didn't meet a friend or have an accomplishment in another department, another area, and I wanted to find out where I was best. And I guess you could say I wasn't any good at any damn thing because I kept trying new things, but I ended up being a general manager.
Jackson helped found the Executive Leadership Council to provide mentoring and networking opportunities for African American executives in Fortune 500 companies.
This gave the African American professional a chance to be around other African American professionals, and they talked about the mistakes they had made, successes they had had, and that helped to give everyone confidence when they went back. There's somebody who's been through this before.
Before retiring from Honeywell as a senior vice president, Jackson purchased the Harlem Globetrotters in 1993. The Globetrotters were teetering on the brink of bankruptcy until Jackson's business expertise put the team back on a solid financial foundation.
Number one, it was a championship basketball team. There was no team in the world that was better. And these guys wore that honor, that badge with pride because of segregation. The collection of black ball players on that team through the mid-60s were the best basketball players in the world, bar none. And I said, that championship basketball legacy has to be restored. And the competence that goes into it has to be there. The next thing was that people always felt the Globetrotters were a friendly place to go to visit. And families felt comfortable trusting their kids with the Globetrotters. Whether you're raising money for the boys clubs or the YMCAs or helping a hospital out, the Globetrotters could always be counted on to be there as a team with a heart. And they didn't build because it was scripted to do it. They taught away in the small towns, the back roads, and the players did because it's part of their life. So those two pieces, and the final one was the Globetrotters played great basketball. They were good to get along with. And the final one is that they just simply knew they had to entertain kids. We never lost that entertainment piece.
Jackson went on to serve as chairman of the Naismith National Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame from 2007 to 2009. There, he and comedian Bill Cosby helped establish the Manny Jackson Human Spirit Award.
But Bill holds court for Manny. He says, Manny, there are people on the top that are being paid to be good people. There are people toiling away on the streets that do it because it's just the right thing to do. There are people who are famous because we made them famous in the media. There are people toiling away that nobody knows about. This award should recognize both ends.
Over the years, Manny Jackson and his family have donated millions of dollars to charitable causes. Today, he's focusing his efforts to help young people in his hometown.
My big hope is that I can put a math and science academy in Edwardsville, my hometown. I want to find these kids that can be inspired by science and math, that have the kind of talent you have in basketball or something people find out about because they work at it. And I want to give them an opportunity to go to the gym floor one day and play basketball and get their skills honed, but go in the classroom the next day and find out how good they are at math and science. Now, when I was touring with the Harlem Globetrotters, and the last story I'll tell you, I was in Warsaw, Poland. And I was 23 years old, and I was very indifferent to democracy and, frankly, this country. But I was sitting with 12 young communist students in an old rustic barn on the outside of Warsaw. We were talking about the merits of democracy. They were talking about Bull Connors and Selma, Alabama, and they wondered how I could be supporting democracy with that kind of treatment of my people back in this country. At about 11 o'clock that night, I got tired of the discussion. I stood up and I said, you know, this is my country. I believe in America. I believe in America I have a chance to be great. And I believe in America I have a chance to make a contribution. So as I was walking through the hallway tonight here, it occurred to me, I wish those 12 communist students could see me tonight. This is a wonderful way to be recognized for contributions. I'm out of that old farmhouse. I'm out of that boxcar in Ilmo, and I'm standing here still believing that I can make a difference. And I still believe this is my state, the state of Illinois. Thank you very much.
Founded in 1956, the Joffrey Ballet is a world-class dance company that delights audiences with its artistry, creativity, and unabashed enthusiasm for both classic and modern ballet. Founders Robert Joffrey and Gerald Arpino started the Joffrey Ballet with a troupe of 6 dancers who ambitiously crossed the country with the goal of making ballet accessible to a wide variety of audiences. More than 50 years later, the Joffrey Ballet lives out this vision of its founders to stage contemporary and even edgy works that sometimes defy categorization. And no dance troupe is better at breathing new life into classics such as Cinderella and the Nutcracker. Today, the Joffrey Ballet's 50-member troupe is led by Mr. Ashley Weeder, a world-renowned ballet dancer and ballet master who continues the founding vision of a distinctly American dance company. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to present to you as a laureate of the Lincoln Academy of Illinois, the Joffrey Ballet.
Chicago's Joffrey Ballet is a world-class dance company that brings new life to traditional ballet masterpieces, unveils exciting new contemporary works, and sets new standards for creativity and artistry. Founders Robert Joffrey and Gerald Arpino believed that ballet should be accessible to all Americans from all walks of life, no matter where they lived.
They decided that they would put together a very small group. It was 6 dancers in a Volkswagen van, and that they would tour. They would take created work and tour America, showing every community of every different size and background, you know, the beauty of dance and how, you know, ballet and dance as an art form was so valuable, and that part of the cultural makeup of our lives, ballet was a part of that.
Joffrey and Arpino created a distinctly American dance company that featured traditional classical ballet while showcasing the best of contemporary dance.
It was that wonderful juxtaposition between revivals of lost ballets and looking at the new, and, you know, cutting edge dance and pushing the boundaries. And so Arpino was the first person to, you know, do a ballet to a rock band. Joffrey was one of the first people to bring rock music and multimedia film to the theater.
With an ambitious touring schedule that took the troupe across the United States and internationally, the Joffrey Ballet soon came into its own as one of the world's top dance companies.
Joffrey looked at everyone the same way. You know, the company has never been a ranked company. It has always been an all-star, no-star company. And so he looked at his company as a unit, as a group of people that all had value for him.
The Joffrey Ballet became a permanent part of the Chicago artistic scene in 2002. In 2007, Ashley Wheater became the second artistic director in the Joffrey's history. Wheater had danced with the Joffrey during the 1980s and had a deep appreciation for what Joffrey and Arpino had created.
Having worked with Joffrey and Arpino, understanding what they wanted from a company has really been invaluable, I think. To know the history and to value that history, and to make sure that things will change. Companies always evolve, but you don't want to rip the roots from the ground. You know, if you need to gently move the plant around, there's a way to do it by honor and respect of the people that founded it. And for me, that's very important.
Wheater has invigorated the Joffrey's repertoire with important new works, like Lar Lubovich's groundbreaking Othello.
It was the turning point for me and for the company in terms of this is a new Joffrey ballet. And the reaction from the people of Chicago, it has been unbelievable. And I think that Othello had that ability to show the people of Chicago that we were a company that was serious about taking on massive work and bringing it to a level that I think the company has made it its own. It definitely is a production that really belongs at the Joffrey.
Wheater is passionate about expanding the artistic horizons of Chicago's young people by experiencing the power of ballet as an art form, both by seeing performances and through programs offered by the Joffrey's Academy of Dance.
Kids from high school can join one of those programs, and then from there they can come into the Exelon Strobel Step-Up program, where they get to perform with the company, or they get to perform as a separate identity. And we're trying to branch even further now and say that we would like to have a program that starts at 9 years old instead of only in the teens, because there is a need for it. It doesn't matter to me whether that child is going to be a classical ballet dancer. They might end up being, you know, a contemporary dancer, a hip-hop dancer. They might end up you know, going to do music video, but for me that's a legitimate career, and I want to give as many people as possible that opportunity in all the diversity of dance that it has to offer. The Joffrey Ballet exists because the community has embraced us, and in turn we embrace the community. Many people are familiar with our performances, the annual Nutcracker, Othello, Cinderella, our rich repertory programs. Some of you may even be familiar with our dancers, a family of some of the most gifted and dedicated artists to be found anywhere. But perhaps our most important work is taking place in our Academy of Dance and in the public schools of Chicago, through our community engagement program. It is through these programs that we have had an opportunity to nurture and inspire the next generation through the power of the art form. I would like to extend my congratulations to all the laureates for their extraordinary accomplishments. And I would also like to thank the Lincoln Academy for bestowing this extraordinary award on the Joffrey Ballet. I am honored to accept it on behalf of the Joffrey. Thank you.
Raised in Wilmette, Illinois, Lester B. Knight is a bold and creative entrepreneur whose success in the business world is equally balanced by his civic and charitable endeavors. After receiving his Bachelor of Science degree and MBA from Cornell University, Mr. Knight began his career at Baxter International, where he rose to Executive Vice President in 1992. In 1996, Mr. Knight helped engineer the multi-billion-dollar spinoff of Allegiance Corporation from Baxter, which at that time became America's leading provider of healthcare products and services. Allegiance later merged with Cardinal Healthcare in 1999, and in recognition of Mr. Knight's leadership, was named Cardinal's vice chairman. In 1999, he was elected to the board of directors of Aon Corporation, the largest and most prestigious firm in its industry, and once again, Mr. Knight's talents earned him the chairmanship of the board in 2008. No enterprise better reflects Mr. Knight's approach to business than Roundtable Healthcare Partners. In 2001, he became a founding and managing partner of Roundtable, the premier private equity firm investing in healthcare companies. Both individually and as trustees of the Knight Family Foundation, Mr. Knight and his wife Rebecca have guided and given financial support to such charities as Community Health, a free healthcare clinic in Chicago, and Access to Care, a healthcare program that serves low-income individuals in suburban Cook County. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to present you as a laureate of the Lincoln Academy of Illinois, a great Illinoisan and a wonderful man, my friend Lester Knight.
My grandfather started his own firm in 1935, a consulting firm. My dad was CEO of a large public company. I always wanted to be a leader, to run something from a business standpoint.
Like his grandfather and father before him, Lester Knight III was destined to make his mark in the world of business after his graduation from Cornell University. For Knight, Healthcare Products and Services Corporation Baxter International was the perfect fit for a young man interested in a career in business and in making a difference in people's lives.
As I started to understand what they did and the products they made in healthcare, I really started my passion for, doing something on the business side, but doing something that really made a difference for people. Developing products that would either save lives or improve somebody's quality of life. And that started a long career that I've had in the healthcare field because of that passion around developing products and services that help people.
Knight advanced to the position of Executive Vice President by 1992. In 1996, he led the highly successful spin-off of Allegiance Corporation from Baxter International.
We had the opportunity to take it out, create something new, something exciting. It was almost a startup company that was suddenly, 20,000 employees and $4 billion in sales, but it was a new company. We put a new name on it, Allegiance, which meant allegiance to the customer and connection to the customer. And we got people excited about coming to work again every day. And we focused on the basics in business, good cash flow, creating value with our customers, creating profitability through focusing on new products. And we were able to really create a new spirit and invigorate the company from a great company that just hadn't done so well for a long time.
Knight oversaw the merger of Allegiance with Cardinal Healthcare in 1999. 2 years later, joined by a small group of industry executives, he launched Roundtable Healthcare Partners, a private equity firm that invests in healthcare companies.
Roundtable is a privately held private equity firm that focuses totally on healthcare, the same type of products and services that Baxter and Cardinal and other companies, big companies in the industry, provide, but we focus on the smaller companies, the smaller high growth niches of the industry, and we actually bring capital and buy those companies, work with founder owners and work with management teams to grow those companies, try to provide a lot of our experience, our contacts, our different experiences we've had in the industry and bring capital to them and help them grow.
Successful in business, Knight is a strong believer in civic involvement and giving back to the community.
I've tried to be very successful in business, but also get involved in organizations that like North Shore Healthcare System, which of course is a key at providing health care across the North Shore. Northwestern, which great university here in Chicago. And then our foundation, which my wife and I started, 5, 6, 7 years ago, again with the intent to bring our kids together and have our family have a mechanism to give back to the community. The mission of the foundation is to serve the underserved. It's very simple. It's really to help those in the basic needs like food, like shelter, like medical care. So we try to focus our giving in those areas.
The Knight Family Foundation helps fund charities that focus on providing health care to the uninsured in the Chicagoland area, such as community health and access to care.
They are one of the largest free health care clinics, have hundreds of doctors and nurses that volunteer their time to provide health care to those who don't have, insurance. And, the wonderful part about it is you walk into their front door, you could be in any clinic, for-profit clinic in the world. There's no difference in quality, there's no difference in care, there's no difference in appearance, and they treat everybody just like you or I would be treated who have insurance walking into a great hospital, which, that's the way it should be, in the country. We should be providing care for everybody, and good quality care for everybody. Access to Care again deals with this whole issue of the uninsured, those who don't have insurance, finding doctors, lining them up with patients who don't have access to an insurance program, and the doctors donate their time, and they also line them up with the prescription drugs and other things that are needed, the testing, the pharmaceutical testing that needs to happen, the lab testing, and they're a great organization to kind of bring all those people together to deal with this population that's not getting the primary care that they need. Over the years, I've been incredibly fortunate to work with many great people in many great companies. Companies all dedicated to the cause of improving the delivery of health care here in the United States and in countries around the world. One of those companies, American Hospital Supply, was founded by Foster McGaugh. Foster lived by a notion that we must give more than we get and leave more than we take. A few simple words that have provided guidance to me and many, many others who worked around him. It is this same notion of giving back that we celebrate tonight through the Lincoln Award. Lincoln once said, "I like to see a man proud of the place in which he lives. I like to see a man live so that his place will be proud of him." I am proud to call Illinois my home. I accept this honor tonight not as a triumph for what I've accomplished, but rather as a motivation to continue to do good work, to contribute to a better life for all, and to conduct myself in a manner so that my place, Illinois, can be proud. Thank you, Lincoln Academy. I'm deeply honored to be a Lincoln Laureate. Thank you very much.
Joining us in the governor's stead is Dr. Thomas F. Schwartz, Illinois State historian, a holder of a PhD in American history, author of over 150 scholarly articles, co-author of The Last Best Hope of Earth, Abraham Lincoln and the Promise of America, and editor of the Journal of the Abraham Lincoln Association. Dr. Schwartz has dedicated his life to the study of history in general and Abraham Lincoln in particular. His professional competence was recognized at the age of 38, when he became the youngest person ever appointed as Illinois State Historian. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present Laureate Dr. Thomas F. Schwartz.
The Lincoln Academy was created to recognize and honor the living histories whom walk among us, believing as Lincoln did that these living histories serve to remind their generation of what it has accomplished. They also serve to remind future generations of the endless possibilities ahead. Tonight, we gather to recognize the living histories of our own time These individuals exemplify the highest ideals in their respective professions. Their lives and contributions to society have served not only to perpetuate our political institutions, but the complete spectrum of human endeavor. In short, Illinois is a better place because of them, and we are forever grateful to them. On behalf of Governor Quinn and the citizens of Illinois, I want to thank the Lincoln Academy for continuing its vital mission to recognize these individuals who best exemplify the Lincoln-hearted people of our time. And to the honorees, congratulations and continued success in the years to come.
Thank you, Dr. Schwartz. We appreciate that you have joined us for the Academy's 2010 Convocation. Our next investiture convocation will be held in the Krannert Auditorium on the campus of the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana on April 16, 2011. The 2010 Convocation of the Lincoln Academy of Illinois is adjourned.
This fall, the Lincoln Academy of Illinois recognized John B. Simon in grateful appreciation for a decade of distinguished service as Chancellor of the Lincoln Academy.